The heroes have found a lot of clues. They're really no closer to solving the mystery. Hello everyone, this is Father Aaron, the Dungeon Master, and we are back in the Elven camp with the Heroes of Honeywood, slightly bruised, slightly battered, except for Touchberry, who's extremely bruised, very battered. In fact, during that fight in the cave, at one point, Bob Johnny scored a perfect 8 with his axe, plus the Brosingus, the fire, 12 points damage. He also at one point fired magic missile, which he had to agree he would shoot. He refused to fire lightning bolt because he said it would hit full fire and full fire's on my team. I did not press it because can you imagine the state of our house if one player killed one or two other players? Anyway, we're back to the camp now, and there they look at the items that they have brought. The papers that were on the desk in that cave. They are lists, troop numbers, growing day by day, and a list of supplies, again, growing and growing, some of them with check marks near them. The lists are written in common, but there are notes around the edge in elf. This box, ignore this. These troops may be a worry. Common and elvish. They also recovered 2 bottles. Now these are both clay, so you can't see into them, but Touchberry uncorks them because he knows no caution and tastes them. One is clearly a potion of healing. He recognizes the taste and he downs it right away. The other has a spicy taste to it. I tell him it is a potion of fire resistance. He keeps that as well, playing with fire and all of that. Now, this is a rule in BECMI. It's found in the Dungeon Master's guidebook, in the basic guidebook, that you can sip the potion to see what it is. So that's what I allow them to do. Even with the healing potion, and even having used his healing sword on himself, he's still in bad shape, Touchberry. So he's going to rest in his new camp bed. In fact, all of them need a rest. Lord Silverian says that he will report to the king and let Captain Thalion know as well what they found in the caves. Great, they have a rest. They roll up some hit point recovery for their full night's rest. It's pretty good across the board. Actually, Touchberry does pretty well. I think he gets 5 back. It's not too bad. So the next day, they decide they are going to patrol the camp looking for any signs of anything, that is suspicious, that is out of place, etc. Okay, they walk the camp. They spend the entire day just circling the camp, and I do some very quiet wisdom checks behind the screen, and both Bob Johnny and Touchberry succeed. Fleetwood can't make a wisdom check to save his life. Anyway, he doesn't need to because 2 of his friends have. I tell them each, you notice as you walk through the camp, you're being followed. You can see someone behind you. That elf has been with you the whole length of the camp. Who has business the whole length of the camp like that? And when you turn and come back the other side of the river, he's still with you. Nobody's got business like that. You're being followed. You're being watched. All right, what are we going to do? They decide they will stop and have lunch. It's about midday when they notice this. They stop and they have lunch. They sit down to eat, and they do notice, out of the corner of their eye, that this individual has found himself a seat in the shade a ways off, kind of behind a tree, but keeping an eye on them as they keep an eye on him. Okay. All right, that is suspicious. I wonder if that's the Doppelganger. Fleetwood, use your ESP, because Fleetwood had chosen ESP 2 ESP spells today because he knew he was doing more looking around, finding stuff out, right? So, all right. He casts ESP. Now, casting ESP in a crowded area is going to result in a lot of noise. The spell description says it takes time to tune out all the noise. So he's having to sift through all of the various elves going hither and thither, right? But amid all that noise, I tell him, you hear, you feel, you sense, you enter a mind that is alien, almost reptilian, violent, cold, calculating. And as he tunes in, as it were, as he strips away the other voices and minds that he's encountering, he focuses in, and I say, you have an overwhelming feeling of wanting to kill, but you also are afraid of being found. You have to hide. You have to be secret. And you will be rewarded. Riches are given to you, and victims too. You can kill. That is a doppelganger. Okay, we've got him. How are we going to get him now? Well, instead of going and confronting this individual, which they could have done, they could have chased him down, they may have caught him, they could have fired arrows, they could have fired magic missile, they could have done a number of things. Instead, they say, we'll split up. We'll split up, and whoever he doesn't follow, first of all, that will make him decide, and whoever he doesn't follow, the one he doesn't follow, that pair will go and find Lord Silverian and bring him here so we can catch this guy. All right, all right. So they split up. Who's he going to follow? I just make it a dice roll. He decides to follow Touchberry and Bob Johnny, while Fleetwood and Fowfire move off. Now that means that Fleetwood very quickly loses that ESP connection, because you have to be within range, right? He moves off. All right, all right. He's going after Bob Johnny and Touchberry. Let's go find Lord Silverian. And they do. They hunt him up. They find him drilling with the troops, as he would be doing, and they tell him, we found the doppelganger. Lord Silverian is alarmed, horrified to think that the doppelganger was walking amidst the elves in the camp, that close, under his very nose. Oh, well, take me to him. You, come. He brings 4 guards with him, and they head over to where they left Bob Johnny and Touchberry, seeking to, then follow the direction that they saw them leave in. Now, meanwhile, Bob Johnny and Touchberry go a ways, but they think, we don't want to go too far, or we'll get lost. We'll sit down again and see what he does, right? So they sit down under a tree, just as if they're resting, just tired, right? And as they're resting, they're kind of keeping an eye out, and they see this elf pass by them and enter a tent. Great, we've got him. You stay here, I'll go around the other side so he doesn't slip out the back. Okay, we're watching the tent. And eventually, Fleetwood and Fowfire and Lord Silverian and guards approach. Great, we've got him. He's in there. As Fleetwood comes up, he decides to cast his second ESP spell for the day. He casts it, and of course, initially, this confusion of voices around him and sounds and thoughts, because he's just casting a wide net. He has to hone in on the direction of the tent. Now, he has a direction to focus on. It'll eventually happen. But before he focuses on the mind in the tent, he feels someone is blocking him. Someone is trying to prevent him. Someone has their guard up. At any rate, he focuses on the mind in the tent and finds again that same nearly reptilian hostility. He's in there. All right. The Heroes of Honeywood decide to surround the tent. And Silverian and Fleetwood, because Fleetwood has the ESP going, they will approach the tent with the 4 guards, and they will slip in. As they approach, Silverian tells the guards to hang back, so in case this creature comes out one of the sides of the tent that isn't, immediately watched, they can catch him. And he and Fleetwood approach the tent together. All right. Make a save versus spells. Okay. He misses it. He misses the save. You hear Silverian muttering something, and you turn to look to see what it is. Is that a spell? But as you see him... Oh, my good friend would never cast a spell on me. Silverian is an upstanding and and decent and noble elf. He wouldn't do anything so underhanded. He's my best friend. He's been charmed. And Silverian begins to speak to him. Now, the others know something's up, right? At the table, the players know something's up. The characters, though, do not. Fleetwood, Silverian tells you that they are, the king and he and Thalion are employing their own doppelganger to root out the other doppelganger. That's who's in this tent. And you don't want to reveal that this is a doppelganger to anyone else, because that will blow the whole mission. That will blow his cover. So don't say anything. Just agree with what I say. Okay? Right. Silverian says, I'll step into the tent. I'll be right back. He goes in. He's in for a moment. Fleetwood looks around with a big smile. And the other piece, what do you do? Go in. He says, no. Out comes Silverian with an elf, not the one they saw earlier. This is the only person in the tent. Fleetwood, is this the mind that you sensed? It's not, is it? And Fleetwood says, no, that's not the mind I sensed. I don't know. And by now, the other heroes of Honeywood gather around. Well, you said you could read the mind of this. You could sense the mind in. No, I must have been wrong, guys. It's a tricky thing. And Lord Silverian speaks up. He says, I do not cast ESP myself. I'm not familiar with the spell, but the Queen is, and she says that it is indeed very tricky, that you often hear a confusion of noises. Don't you, Fleetwood? Yeah, it's a big confusion of noises at first, but then you can focus in. Yes, you can focus in, but you couldn't see the person you were focusing on when you cast that. He was in the tent, and it's possible you cast beyond, and that the doppelganger in fact went in and out to the other side before you could go around and cover that exit. Well, these things happen. We will continue to hunt, though. It is very good that you located the doppelganger on the grounds. We will continue to hunt. The whole group is suspicious as heck, but they play along because they don't actually know, and they have been trusting Silverian implicitly up till now. And Fleetwood, bless him, plays it to the hilt. He says, you know what, now, Lord Silverian knows. He knows the elves in this camp. He knows his troops. He says he knows this guy and that he's a good guy and that we don't have to worry. So I'm not worried, and I don't think you guys should be either. The other hero's like, well, okay, I guess. I mean, Lord Silverian is, he came and helped us in that cave, and yeah, okay, fine. I mean, obviously, the king, tested to make sure that Silverian was Silverian. Silverian's not the doppelganger, right? So, okay, fine, great. And they're still focused on Bargle being the bad guy. They don't quite put two and two together. Anyway, they head back to their tent for a little more rest. It's been a busy day walking up and down the camp, and really, Touchberry, you still need some rest. We should go. Lord Silverian thanks them and marches off with his troops, and they go back to their tent to rest. Well, that's a good thing. They need the hit points. Another full night's sleep will get them their hit points. They can roll again for the... no, they can't. Their sleep is interrupted. In the middle of the night, screams and hollers, the clang of weapons, shouts of alarm. The camp is under attack. The heroes, as quickly as they can, begin to don armor and strap on their weapons. What is going on? What is going on? And out of the tent they go. Once they are ready, out of the tent they go and they listen. Where can we hear combat happening? I say it's all over, up and down the valley. Just then, out of the darkness runs Captain Thalion. All of the PCs, Fleetwood included, are on guard. And the chatter around the table is, I don't trust Thalion at all. He's the doppelganger. This isn't Thalion at all. It's the doppelganger. And Thalion says, quick, the palace is under attack. I'm rounding up troops. Come, help. All right, well, we'll go see what it is. I don't believe him, though. And they follow, and they say, we'll let him go ahead, because I don't want him behind me. So they let Thalion run off into the darkness, and he's going to other tents and rousing other elves, and off they're going. But they're maybe halfway there, when out of the dark emerges Lord Silverian. Oh, there's an attack on the supply glade. Come, come, we must defend it. And Thalion is going. I said he was ahead. He's going. He's getting other elves. They're going. And the heroes say, well, Thalion says the palace is under attack. There are plenty of defenders at the palace. The palace is well guarded. The king lives there. We guard it very well. We need to defend the supply glade, or we will have nothing with which to fight and to aid Lord Morgan. That's the whole point of this. Let's go. They follow Lord Silverian the other direction from the palace, and they get to near the entrance to that vale, that side valley where the weapons are stored, and there they indeed see a large number of orcs battling with elves. The elves mostly with bows, trying to hold the orcs back, the orcs being commanded by a hobgoblin and with an archer of their own. Into the battle they throw themselves. Lord Silverian casts magic missile. 3 orcs are hit. One falls, the others are severely wounded. Touchberry charges in, hacking this way and that, even though he's still pretty low in hit points. He's in the low 20s at this point. Foefire is picking off orcs, and Bob Johnny wades in with that axe, chopping on the side, hacking orcs down. It's glorious. Fleetwood slides all the way through. He's going after the archer and the hobgoblin. He attacks the archer, he attacks the hobgoblin. The battle now turns with the numbers they add, plus Lord Silverian and the guards that were with him. He had 2 guards with him, is enough. It turns the tide of the battle, and the orcs either die or flee. The party gives chase for a little bit, and I'm able to use a chase mechanic that I first heard from John at the Tale of the Manticore. If you don't know Tale of the Manticore, go check it out. It's awesome. Anyway, I'll link the episode where he introduced that, or at least where I first heard it. I'll link that below. That finished, they decide we should go see how Thalion is doing. I mean, I know there's plenty of defenders up there, but we should at least see how he's doing. Fine, Lord Silverian says he's going to stay here and mop up, help the wounded, etc. Off the Heroes of Honeywood go, back down the valley to where the palace is. When they arrive, they find that it is anything but defended. There is one defender standing, Thalion himself. Thalion, in the midst of a number of elf bodies and bones scattered across the ground, and surrounding Thalion, 6 animated skeletons. Roll for initiative. So this roll is to determine where in the combat that they're approaching, where they are in that combat, really, when it comes down to it. Where are they entering into combat? So they roll and they miss it. The skeletons have the initiative, so that means that as they approach, the skeletons attack. I roll 6. Attack. Rolls. 6. Oof. And 5 of them hit. 5 out of 6 hit Captain Thalion. He's not particularly well armored. He was pulled from his bed, and he did not adhere to the wisdom of putting his armor on first. He just ran out. So he's easy to hit. He's hit 5 times, and the damage is 19. 19 points of damage. Ow. From the 23 that he was at. He's been fighting for some time. Ow. He is in grave danger, but he fights on. I roll the dice, a morale roll, I just use that mechanic, and darn those dice, he's gonna keep fighting, but he will not do so alone because the Heroes of Honeywood charge in. Touchberry knows no fear. He goes in, even though he's like in the mid-20s at this point, he charges in, and Fleetwood charges in, and Bob Johnny charges in. Bob Johnny at first wants to cast Magic Missile, but I remind him, it's after midnight, you've lost the spells from the previous day, you have not had time to memorize for the new day, no spells. This is a mechanic I have to figure out, it's like the gremlins, right? You feed the mogwai if you feed him after midnight, but it's always after midnight. When does that switch flip, right? And when does it go back to being able to feed him? When the sun comes up? What's the mechanic? So anyway, we've just decided to pass a universal rule that your memorized spells leave your head once you go to sleep, after midnight. So if you go to sleep at 10 and you're woken up at 10:30, you've still got your spells. But if you go to sleep at 10 and it passes midnight, you no longer have your spells. I just had to have some mechanic to figure it by, right? So anyway, no spells in your head, so you've got nothing to cast. They go into combat, melee, and Foefire, of course, stays back and fires arrows, but she stops at some point because it's so mixed up she doesn't want to hit her friends, but it doesn't matter. With the Heroes of Honeywood, they easily destroy the skeletons, although Thalion does take another 2 points of damage. He's now down to 2. He is so wounded, bleeding everywhere, stumbling, etc. Ugh, this is terrible. And the PC's like, oh, we're so sorry we didn't come, but Lord Silverian said there were plenty of defenders here. Lord Silverian was wrong. At that moment, up runs Lord Silverian. There is another attack. The orcs are pressing back. Come, help, I need you. The heroes answer the call, and back down the valley they go. Thalion wisely decides that he's going to stay, seek medical help, get medical help for those who are even worse off than him, or, prepare them for burial or something. Anyway, off they charge. Note to Fleetwood, make another save versus spells. Missed it. Okay. They arrive back further down the valley, and they indeed find a large contingent of orcs. There are 3 different units who had been attacking from different sides. They have coalesced into one and are now pushing up toward the palace, and they are pushing up strong. The Heroes of Honeywood dive in, reckless of their own safety. Now, I'm not going to go blow by blow because this was very big, a very involved battle. Touchberry got hit a couple times, and he gets down into the low 20s. Bob Johnny is hit a few times. He's in low 30s, high 20s, somewhere in that range. Fleetwood is a little better off. He's in the 30s, I know that, and Foefire's in pretty good shape because she's always doing range, right? Although, this group has 2 hobgoblin archers in addition to an orc archer, and so they target her. She does take a couple of hits in this battle, not too bad though. But they're fighting, and it's getting to be kind of an even match, right? It had been totally all the orcs when they came in, but they're pushing and pushing and pushing. But as they're pushing, more orcs pour in, and they begin to surround the group. Oh no! Lord Silverian drops back. He drops back out of the battle like he's going to retreat. And suddenly, a fireball erupts in the middle of the battle. Oh dear. Saving throws, please. Touchberry and Bob Johnny make theirs. Touchberry, I think he needed like a 10 or something. He gets a 19. It's huge. Bob Johnny makes his by, a bit, but not a huge amount. Fleetwood misses. Foefire, being a range fighter, was not in the blast radius, so she doesn't have to roll the save. Okay, Fleetwood. Ow. You're taking 23 points of damage. Fortunately, he was in the low 30s, so he's not dead. He's not dead. Bob Johnny was in the 20s, and by the time this goes off, Touchberry was at 19. But they made their save, so they take half. They are in very bad shape, both of them, but they're alive. Most of the orcs, well, all of the orcs are dead. Most of the hobgoblins gone, except the leader. The leader still stands. He must have been a pretty powerful guy. Even if he made his save, that's a powerful hobgoblin, because he's been hit before. He runs. And I get to use the chase mechanism again because Fleetwood chases after him. Runs him down. They both have a penalty because they're both pretty injured, but it cancels itself out, right? So Fleetwood does catch him eventually and rolls an attack roll. The dice is still chattering around on the table when Bob Johnny's player says, well, wait, we should take him prisoner. Attack's already been made, and Bob Johnny is still back at the battle site. He did not run after Fleetwood, so he's not around to give that advice. The attack hits, and the damage, oh yeah, he's dead. No prisoner. Fleetwood walks back to the battlefield, and I say, make another save versus spells. He does, and he makes it this time. Where is Silverian? He charmed me! He cast that fire, but where is he? He's gone.